Archibald took a long draw from his cigar, then exhaled the smoke outwards into the street. He was leaning over the railing that lined the front porch of the saloon, his eyes focused on the main road coming into town. The midday sun was shining intensely on the monster hunter, but his wide-brimmed hat shielded his eyes from its harsh rays. The saloon door next to him suddenly swung open, releasing the sounds of boisterous drinkers, frustrated gamblers, and the bright piano music being played over it all. Archibald looked over to see the barman, an older-looking fellow with balding gray hair and a grin on his face, holding a glass of scotch intended for him. "You sure you don't want to come inside? It's a mighty bit cooler at the bar." The barman handed the glass to Archibald. "That's kind of you, Earl, but you know I'm waiting for the postman." He took a sip from the glass, savoring the flavor for a moment as he looked back down the street. It had been nearly a month since he was supposed to hear from his brother, and the letter he had been expecting still had not arrived. He was hopeful that today would be the day. "Well, if you do get that letter, just make sure you don't forget to come in and pay your tab. It's getting a bit long in the tooth, if you know what I mean." Earl turned and went back into the saloon. Archibald could hear the patrons begin calling to him, asking for more drinks as he returned to the bar. "If I get the letter, I'm hoping it'll be more of a win." Just then, Archibald saw a man in dark blue overalls with a gray hat come around the corner, riding a dappled horse. He had a large satchel at his hip, with several other full saddlebags on the horse itself. It was the postman. "About time you showed up. Was getting a little worried. You got any mail for me today, sir?" Archibald asked, making sure to remember his manners. The postman nodded, reaching into his satchel. "Yes, sir, one for Mr. Archibald Hall." He produced a letter from his pack, handing it to the monster hunter. He wasted no time in ripping it open, a smile on his face. The smile quickly faded as he read the contents of the envelope. "What's this? This ain't no letter. This is a bounty posting. Who's this from?" He looked back up at the postman, an expression of confusion clear on his face. "It's from a town west of here called Dry Canyon. Got a monster problem needs dealing with. Mayor heard a hunter was over here, so he had me bring you that." "Sorry, I ain't got nothing else, Archibald." Postman tipped his hat, riding further down the street. Archibald stared down at the posting for a long moment, focusing in on the name of the town, bounty associated with the beast. He gritted his teeth in determination, extinguishing his cigar on the wooden railing before tossing it to the dirt and then downing his scotch in one swift movement. "I swear by my iron, I will find you, Samuel, whatever it takes." What's up, guys? I'm Jayzinski. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Ironsworn Badlands, where today we will begin the adventures of Archibald Hall, the monster hunter of the Badlands, as he heads west to find his missing brother Samuel. As you saw in that intro there, he did get a letter saying that there was a bounty in the nearby town of Dry Canyon. He was hoping for a letter from his brother, but that just didn't turn out to be the case. And now he's decided, you know what? I think there's something's wrong with my brother. I think he might be in trouble. So Archibald has decided that he's going to set out and look for his brother. I'd say he's somewhere within the sea of grass right now. He's in a town. The name of that town doesn't really matter right now because he's going to be leaving it very soon. So he's there on the front porch of the saloon and he decides, I gotta find out where this town of Dry Canyon is. Actually, I think a good idea would be to ask the Oracle, one of our random generators here in Ironsworn, whether or not he knows where this dry canyon is already. So let me just go ahead and ask the Oracle real quick if he in fact does know where dry canyon is already. I'm gonna say he's been in the Badlands for a while, so I'm gonna say it's likely that he does know. So 26 or greater, and he does. 91, he definitely does know where dry canyon is, so he doesn't even need to ask anybody where he has to go. He looks down the western road and he sees it streaming off into the distance, and he goes, that's the direction I need to head in. And he goes into the saloon. He can hear all the boisterous noise of what's going on and everything. No one really pays him much mind. They're all too focused on their own stuff. And he walks up to the bar where Earl, the barman, is. He's there cleaning a glass, and he looks up and sees Archibald. Did you get that letter, my friend? No. Turns out it wasn't a letter after all from my brother. It was a bounty posting. But I'm here to pay my debt to you. I'm heading out to a town named Dry Canyon, out west. Here, this is for you. And he sets down some money on the counter, probably a little bit more than he owes, and Earl looks him in the eye and nods. Well, thank you, Archibald. I wish you luck in all your travels. You have a good one now, you hear? Archibald just nods to him, tips his hat, and walks out of the saloon. He, walks over to where he has his horse tied up to probably one of the posts there, Waddy, and he looks Waddy in the eye, and they kind of just have this understanding about each other, because I feel like they've known each other for a long time. And he unties Waddy from the post and he saddles up and starts riding west to the town of Dry Canyon. So he knows how to get there. Important thing is, how long is it going to take him to get there? So we need to start, he's going to undertake a journey. So we're going to get ready to do that move. When you travel across hazardous or unfamiliar lands, set the rank of your journey. Well, he isn't really unfamiliar with this path, so maybe it would be a different move other than that one. Well, actually, now that I take a look at it, I think, it's the Badlands. So even if he is familiar with the lands, Badlands can still be quite hazardous, So I am going to make this a troublesome journey, mainly because he's been out this way before, and I would think that he would know his way out here. Really, he wouldn't come into too many troubles on the way, but you never know what happens. The dice could turn that around on us real quick. This is going to be a troublesome journey, and we're just going to go ahead and roll for the beginning of his journey. So let's go ahead and roll here. Gonna be plus wits. Oh, well then. Our first miss of the game. That bodes well. He is waylaid by a perilous event. He must pay the price. So we're gonna go take a look at pay the price here real quick. I wonder what that could be. He's leaving from the town. He's heading out west. And he's traveling along this road that I think is well trodden. The town isn't too far. I mean, the postman was sent here from Dry Canyon, so it couldn't be too far. It's probably just on the edge of the high plains, probably, at the edge of this canyon that leads into the high plains. So I'm just gonna leave it to the Oracle to decide what this price is that needs to be paid. So let's go ahead and roll. A person or community you trusted loses faith in you or acts against you. You know what that is? There's someone back in the town that Archibald was just in that doesn't like Archibald. I think that's what it is. Archibald made someone very mad while he was in town, and that guy is coming to get some revenge. But the question is, what did Archibald do to make this man so angry? Let's find out. Let's ask the Oracle. So we're gonna go ahead and ask, what was this event that happened, and then the focus of it. Entangle remains. Tangle remains. Okay, I think I got it. I think this man was a grave robber. Yeah, I think he was robbing a grave back in that town, and Archibald caught him, and he turned him over to the authorities. I think that's what happened. He was, trying to gather up these remains, and obviously Archibald got entangled in this whole mess, and I don't think Archibald's the kind of guy to take kindly to those who disturb the dead. So he citizens arrested this guy, brought him to the authorities, probably the local sheriff, turned him in, and he got jailed. But this guy must have escaped. That's the only thing I can think of. This man must have escaped after Archibald left, and he wanted vengeance. Let's figure out this fella's name. What's this guy's name? We're gonna go and ask the male sounding first names. I think it's a man, so we're gonna go and ask the oracle for the names there. 31, that is Ernest. I'm gonna go ahead and type it in there for you guys just so you know how it's spelled and everything on here. Ernest, his name is Ernest. What kind of man is Ernest? We'll of course once again ask the oracle here. Let's get a descriptor here. He's affectionate. Oh my. And his disposition, he's desperate. Oh man. I don't think this is just anybody he was digging up out of this grave. I think it was the dead body of a lover. And maybe not even a lover. I think it was someone he loved, but they didn't love him back. And he was trying to dig up their body. And, well, I guess you can take it from there. And that is why he's so angry with Archibald, because he basically stole that opportunity from him. He essentially broke him, and in his mind, him away from his lover. So that's why he's going after Archibald. So he stole his weapon back, and he probably stole a horse, and he's just riding after Archibald at breakneck speed. And that's probably why he caught up to him, is because he's just galloping after Archibald. Archibald is just trotting along on the road here. I don't think Archibald has any idea this man's coming up behind him, but this guy is riding at a gallop. So I'm going to ask the oracle, does Archibald hear this rider galloping up behind him? I think it's likely. 7, he does not hear the guy galloping up behind him. He probably does, but he probably doesn't think anything of it. He's like, oh, it's just, probably a courier or something coming down the road, and he's like, he's on a tight schedule, so he just kind of veers his horse off to the side to get out of the guy's way, and then the rider comes faster and faster and faster. I don't know. I think this guy is so angry that he's not going to try to sneak up on him, and I think he's just going to yell out at Archibald. I'm going to say 50-50. I'm going to say 50-50. 52, he does. He just screams out, ah, as he comes riding up behind Archibald. And I think at this point, Archibald looks behind him. He's like, what? And he sees this man brandishing a revolver and aiming down at him. He has to enter the fray as they begin this combat here. Oh my god, I didn't think we'd be going into combat so soon. When he enters into combat, set a rank for each of his foes. I think this man, he's desperate. He's furious with Archibald. I don't think he's like a hardened criminal or anything. I don't think he's an incredibly dangerous gunslinger, so I'm gonna set him as troublesome. He's a troublesome foe. All he's got is his revolver, and he's like wearing like the rags he had while he was in prison, and he's riding this stolen horse. He's got to enter the fray. This guy has basically ambushed Archibald, so Archibald's gonna have to roll with wits. A weak hit. He got a weak hit, so he can either choose to bolster his position and take +2 momentum, or he has to prepare to act and take initiative. I think Archibald is going to take initiative here and immediately draw his pistol and reel Waddy around to face Ernest, and he's just gonna whip his pistol up and just take aim at Ernest, pull back the hammer and fire off a shot. We're gonna go ahead and do the strike move. When he has the initiative and attack at range, roll plus edge. Firing his shot, he misses. Oh, he must be under some severe stress here. He has no idea that this guy was coming for him, so he's just reeling around. He just quickly fires off a shot, but the bullet just goes careening past Ernest, who's just still screaming and coming towards Archibald. He missed, so now Archibald has to pay the price, and Ernest has the initiative. Archibald has to pay the price. We're gonna see what that looks like. I think the simplest way it looks like is Ernest has fired a shot at Archibald, and Archibald's been hit. Archibald takes a shot in the shoulder, like his left shoulder, and he grunts out in pain. Ah, damn! As the bullet rips through his leathers and he starts to bleed profusely. He's gonna have to endure harm after taking that shot. Endure harm. When he faces physical damage, suffer minus health equal to his foe's rank or is appropriate to the situation. His foe is a troublesome foe, so he only takes 1 harm. It didn't really hit anything too vital, but he was hurt, so his health is going to go down to 4. Now he has to roll to endure harm. He's going to roll plus health because that's his highest one, and he gets a strong hit. He can choose to shake it off. If his health is greater than 0, suffer -1 momentum in exchange for +1 health, or he can embrace the pain and take +1 momentum. I think he's going to go ahead and shake off that bullet. You know, he's had worse wounds than that. He's going to get his health back. So the wound was not even really that bad. It was not even that deep. It kind of just went straight through the other side of his body, and you know, he's just got a bullet hole, but it didn't really hit any bones or anything, luckily for him. He does not have the initiative, so he is going to have to clash with Ernest here. They're both gonna fire off a couple of shots at each other as they just keep coming closer and closer to one another on horseback. He gets a weak hit. Ah, nice. When he gets a weak hit, he inflicts his harm, but then he has to pay the price, and his foe still has initiative. He does +2 harm to this guy as they just fire off 2 bullets at each other. He gets 2 good hits on Ernest, probably like one in Ernest's shoulder and another like in his gut, like maybe off to the side, maybe just to graze on him, and Ernest just like shouts out in pain as he just keeps riding closer and closer, firing off his pistol as he just keeps getting closer to Archibald, and Archibald has to pay the price still because that is still a weak hit on a clash. Again, I think the most simple answer here is that he takes a hit. He's gonna have to endure harm. So with health, his health goes down to 4, and he is going to have to make a endure harm roll with plus health here. Another weak hit. He gets it on the endure harm. He just presses on. It wasn't that bad, but it did hurt. He probably took one in his arm, his left arm, but it like kind of just went straight through but didn't hurt. But it was a pretty big wound on his arm. It's gonna mess him up, but it's not his right arm. It's not his shooting arm. So he is going to, at this point, actually, I think Ernest has gotten close enough to just tackle at Ernest. I think Ernest is almost out of rounds at this point. I think he's just been firing wildly as he gets closer and closer and closer. And as soon as he pulls up towards Archibald, he just flings himself off of the stolen horse at Archibald. I think Archibald has to face danger here to not get knocked off of Waddy. And because he has the horse companion, when he faces danger plus edge, he can use his horse's speed and grace. He adds +1 to his face danger roll. He's gonna reel Waddy out of the way, trying to get out of the way of Ernest's just wild leap at him. So we're gonna go ahead and add a +1 to that. A strong hit. He's successful and he takes +1 momentum. Waddy quickly sidesteps out of the way of Ernest, and Ernest just crashes to the ground in front of him, but like hitting the dirt. You can hear he just grunts in pain as he just smashes into the ground. But Ernest gets up and he goes to grab at Archibald because he still got the initiative. Archibald still does not have the initiative. They're going to have to clash again in just physical combat. It's going to be plus iron as Archibald tries to punch him in the face, maybe hit him with the butt of his pistol. Archibald's not great in melee combat, but he's just going to have to give it the best he's got. Plus iron. A weak hit. He inflicts his harm, but then he pays the price. He smacks Ernest in the face with the butt of his pistol, like breaking his nose. The blood starts to pour forth from his face. We're gonna go ahead and mark the harm on him, but I think the clearest price to pay, because it was a weak hit, is that Archibald gets yanked off his horse and thrown to the dirt. And Ernest just throws himself on top of Archibald, trying to like grab his neck to like choke him to death, struggling there in the dirt, kicking up all kinds of dust. Oh man, this is this is violent. Ernest is he's desperate. He wants to kill Archibald. In his mind, he stole his lover from him. So Archibald's gonna have to do another clash with this guy because he still does not have the initiative. And I think he needs the initiative to end this fight. He needs the initiative here. So yeah, he needs to have a strong hit on a move before he can end the fight. They're now clashing on the ground. Again, I think it's going to be iron, unfortunately, for Archibald. He's going to force Ernest off of him and get into a better position here. Oh, no! Oh, a miss with a complication. This is terrible. This is like the worst thing that could have happened. Oh, man, it's a miss. So first of all, he has to pay the price here. You know, I think the easiest thing is that, you know, Ernest is like trying to grab him and he just socks Archibald in the face with a fist, like, you know, give him a good black eye. Archibald's hat goes flying off his head from the movement, so he's gonna take -1 health, and then he has to pay, he's already paying the price. He has to endure harm now after getting hit like that. He's gonna roll plus his health. A strong hit. That's great. That's fantastic. That's exactly what we need. So he gets a strong hit. He is going to shake it off. He's going to suffer 1 momentum in exchange for 1 health. So he's just going to shake off that punch, and he got a strong hit there, but there was a complication. I need to see what this complication is. I have no idea what could cause what it could be. So we're going to go ahead and just roll on the Oracle. We're going to ask the Oracle, betray home. Oh man, I think that what that says is that Ernest is just screaming in his face, and he goes, "You took it from me! Ah, you were supposed to be a good friend to the town, you damn monster!" And he's just grabbing him by the neck, shaking him around. I think Archibald is like really taken aback by this, and I think he's gonna suffer -1 spirit, and I think he needs to endure stress. This is really stressing him out. He was not expecting this whatsoever. So he's gonna roll spirit here. A strong hit. He's going to, I think he's just going to embrace the darkness of the situation and just grit his teeth and reach up with his hands and take a hold of Ernest, and he's just gonna shake him, and he just yells in his face, "Ah, get the hell off of me, you son of a bitch!" And he is going to try to now end the fight with that strong hit. So we're gonna roll on the end the fight move. When you make a move to take a decisive action and score a strong hit, he may resolve the outcome of this fight. We're gonna go ahead and roll to end this fight here. The progress on Ernest is 9. We need our challenge dice to be 8 or below to end this fight. So let's go ahead and roll to end this fight. A strong hit. He grabs Ernest by his just shirt that he's wearing in prison, and then brings a fist back and socks him right in the jaw, and Ernest just goes reeling back, falling on his ass and onto his back. And he lies there breathing. He's just completely out of it. Archibald gave him a good one to the right cheek, the left cheek rather. His left arm's messed up, and they just both lay there breathing heavily from the ordeal that just happened. Ernest's horse is long gone by now and has no it has no loyalty to its erstwhile master. Meanwhile, Waddy probably trots over and nudges Archibald's face, and Archibald brings up a hand to the horse and he goes, I'm fine, get away from me." And he stands up and grabs his hat, puts it back on, and he probably wipes himself off from all the dirt and dust he just got on his duster. And he looks at Ernest, who's just laying there on the ground, and I think he's going to decide whether or not he should kill this man. This guy just tried to come up and just kill him out of nowhere. This guy's mind, he had reason to, but I don't know if Archibald wants to have to deal with that on this road. And he's already, outside of town. He doesn't want to have to drag this guy all the way back to the town he just came from. Does he kill this guy? Oh man, I gotta ask the Oracle. I have no idea, so I'm just gonna call it 50-50 on whether he kills him or not. 51 or greater, he does. 31, he does not. He probably, his pistol's laying on the ground. He picks up his pistol and he holsters it and he looks down at Ernest, who's just laying around on the ground. And Ernest, like, he's coming to, and he looks up at Archibald, and blood streaming from Ernest's nose, and he just mumbles out, You took her from me. And Archibald just shakes his head and he goes, She was never yours in the first place, partner. And he just saddles back up onto Waddy, and he looks down at Ernest. Maybe it'd be best if you found something else to occupy your time, other than pining after girls that don't love you. And Archibald rides off west, leaving Ernest in the dust. Oh my god. What a way to start the campaign. This guy just coming out of nowhere trying to kill Archibald. That is crazy. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that at all. Whew. So Archibald continues down the road now. He barely got anywhere near away from the town before being attacked. He's probably, wiping off his face from any of the blood that Ernest got on him, since he was just bleeding profusely from his nose. He's just thinking to himself, what in the hell just happened? And he probably just shakes his head and just keeps going forward. Oh god, as he just continues heading on his way to the town. Now, we are still on this journey, so we're just going to continue with and undertake a journey roll. Again, it's just a troublesome journey. Hopefully he doesn't get another miss and get attacked by, I don't know, Ernest could come running up behind him again for all we know. So he's gonna go ahead and roll to undertake a journey again. Now, I forgot about this earlier. Since he's gonna be undertaking a journey and he's using his horse's speed and grace, he can add a +1 to his roll. So that is what he's going to do. He's going to add +1. A miss. Oh, Archibald just can't get a break, man. He cannot get a break. I don't even know what this could be now. He's just gonna have to pay the price again. There's nothing more to it. Actually, you know what? I think I know what it is. I think Archibald didn't take any time to treat his wounds, because he has at least 2 bullet holes in him, remember, and he's starting to feel the effects of that. So I think he is going to lose a health and he has to endure harm on the road. So we're going to go ahead and do an endure harm here. So he's just going to go ahead and make a roll here. It's going to be plus health. Oh, he gets a positive result here. He gets a strong hit, obviously, but there are doubles there on the challenge dice, so that means there's an opportunity here. That's a good thing. Luckily, not a complication. So he has strong hit. He's just gonna go ahead and take the +1 health for -1 momentum as he, sort of like rubs his old wounds as they just start to sting and ooze, and he wraps up one of them real quick. And what could this opportunity be? I gotta ask the Oracle, because I have no idea what it could be. So we're just gonna go ahead and defeat survival. Okay, I know what this is. He defeated Ernest. He survived his encounter with Ernest. It's just the fact that he survived his encounters with Ernest is a positive within itself. But I think, on the road, his survival is even more apparent because he's just riding along the road and he sees this glowing herb on the side of the road, because this is a weird west sort of setting. Remember, this isn't normal American West out here. There's gonna be some stuff. And he looks out for a moment and he gets down and he comes over to this plant and he takes a look at it. It almost looks like an aloe vera plant, but it's got this weird glow to it, this ethereal glow, magical maybe. And he cuts off some, and he can see that's like oozing this liquid, this light green liquid. And he thinks, maybe it's like aloe vera, it can soothe pain. And he brings this liquid over and he starts rubbing it on his wounds a little bit, and it heals it, and maybe just a little bit at first. And he's like, oh, that's actually really good. I don't even have to waste any bandages or anything. So he just takes as much of this plant as he can, basically depriving it of most of the plant itself, probably killing it, but he's got to survive too. And he just covers up his wounds with the stuff, and I think it heals him up nice and good. I'm actually going to count that as he gets another +1 to his health. He's basically all healed up now. That's a really good roll, that opportunity there. And he just heals himself up completely with that. And he hops back up on Wadi and keeps going forward. So now at this point, he doesn't have a lot of the day left, since I would say it was about noon when he left. And on this journey, it's been a few hours of journeying. The sun's starting to go down. It's getting a little bit colder, so he decides to make camp. And he just, makes camp. He rests for the night. He doesn't really need to do anything tonight, so I'm not going to make a movement roll for make camp. He's not trying to accomplish something. He is going to wake up the next day, pack up his camp, and start on the journey again. Let's hope that we don't get a miss on this next undertake a journey roll. He's going to roll wits +1 because of his horse. A weak hit. I'll take it. So he reaches a waypoint and marks progress, but he suffers -1 supply, probably from the supplies he's using, his food and resources and stuff like that. What is the nature of this waypoint that he comes across? We have to ask the Oracle. Obviously, I think he's still in the Sea of Grass. I don't think he's crossed over in the High Plains, because I always imagine Dry Canyon. I think Dry Canyon is like sort of one of the entrances into the High Plains. I think to get into the High Plains, Dry Canyon is on the edge of the Sea of Grass, and then the High Plains, to get there, you have to go through this canyon to get into the High Plains, if you're near Dry Canyon anyways. So we're going to do a descriptor first. A dense mountain. Whoa, what could that be? Oh man, that's wild. So he's out here traveling on the Sea of Grass. In the distance, he sees this large, I guess he can only describe it as a mountain in the distance. It's not like coming up smoothly on each side either. I think it's a butte. It's one of those large, like pillar-like structures. Not structures, but like stone formations that were in like Western America that are out here in the Badlands as well. And it's like made of this gray stone. He's confused by it, because normally these are seen in like the High Plains or Mil Piedras, not here in the Sea of Grass. Hasn't seen this thing here before. He goes up to it for a moment after he gets closer and inspects it and everything. I have a feeling about something here real quick. I'm going to ask the Oracle if my hunch is right, and then I'll tell you guys if I'm right. So we're going to go and ask the Oracle here. I'm going to say it's unlikely, because I don't think it would be like that here. So we're going to go ahead and roll on the unlikely. 76 is greater? No. Okay. So there's nothing here. It's just the mountain itself, this butte that's just rising out of the ground. He's confused by it. But hey, there are weird things in the Badlands. Perhaps things just seem to change. Maybe the land itself just changes whenever it pleases. You never know. And he takes note of it, remembers that, hey, if it stays here, it could be a pretty good marker for his journey. He gets to go ahead and mark progress on his journey to Dry Canyon now. He's going to travel for another day before he comes to the next waypoint, hopefully. So we're going to go ahead and roll and undertake a journey again here. +1 because of his horse. Another weak hit. He's suffering supply loss still. He's still using a lot of his rations to feed himself and his horse. Probably his water rations too. There's not a lot of waterways out here in the Badlands, so that's what I'm going to read from it. So he does mark progress though, and he comes across another waypoint. What is the nature of this waypoint? We're going to ask the Oracle here. Scriptor, And a location, a desolate mountain, another one of these buttes. I think so. There's got to be something in this. There's another one of these buttes. I think this time, you know, this one, the first one was like very compact, and this one he's come across now is much larger. Still the same gray stone, but the other one, it had like this grass on the top of it. This one does not. It's just all rock, all stone. And he's just so confused by this. What are these doing out here? Why are they here? With this, I think my hunch has become more likely now that there's two out here. So I'm going to ask the Oracle again if I'm right. I think it is likely now with this second mountain, the second butte, that he does not remember being there. Yes, I am right. Okay, so as he gets closer to this butte, he can see strange structures jutting out of it. He sees little glowing windows. He can't see inside of them. They're almost like slits inside these structures jutting out of the butte. It's a rather large butte, by the way. Possibly like I can't even begin to describe it. Like much larger than any like house or anything. And he comes closer and closer and closer, and then he can see at the, you know, the ground level of the butte, there is this like stone archway built into the side of the butte with like a wooden gate with steel lining it on the outlines of the door. It's like reinforced with steel, and there's no one out there, and he's just really confused. These weren't here before. Does he know what these structures are? I'm gonna say it's 50-50 because he's been in the Badlands for a while, but I don't know if he's encountered them before. I'm gonna say it's 50-50. No, he does not. He does not know these structures. He has never seen them before. Of course, Archibald's probably curious about what he's come across. So he rides up to the front gate of this structure in the mountain, this butte, and he gets off his horse. He walks up to the archway with the door there. The door is a little bit smaller than he expected. It's not actually, no. I don't think it's small. I think this door is massive. Actually, it's several times larger than him, and it's got these knockers on the door. They're like in the shapes of men with large beards, and he just grabs one of the knockers and just goes banging on the door. There's silence for a moment. He just sits there expecting something to happen. Does someone answer the door? I'm going to call it 50-50. Yes, someone does answer the door. The big wide door opens up, and Archibald's looking about, same level as he's standing on, but then he notices that no one's there. And then he sees something just below where he's looking. He looks down and he sees what he thinks is a man with a very large, scruffy beard, tied in knots and braids and everything. And he's wearing like this male hauberk. And he's got a shield in one hand and an axe on his hip. And he looks up at Archibald. "What can I do for you, stranger?" And Archibald looks down at him and he goes, I'm not really certain, to be honest. I was just a little curious about what I'd come across. I hadn't seen this place out here before, so I thought I'd investigate." "Well, stranger, you've investigated. I think it's about time you were on your way, don't you think?" "I've been on the road for a day or two now. I could use with a place to sleep for the night." I'd think it's probably about closer to nighttime by the time he's found this mountain, this butte. And I think for those of you who guessed, yes, they're dwarves. Archibald continues, "I've been using up a lot of my supplies on the road to Dry Canyon. I would be grateful if you had a saloon or something, a tavern perhaps, that I could rest in, maybe get a drink or two." Now, knowing dwarves, as we know them in fantasy, they probably do. But the question is, does this dwarf let him in? He's a human. He's a stranger. I think before we decide that, I think we need to understand this dwarf a little more. So I am going to first, I'm going to ask the Oracle, what is this dwarf's name? We're going to go with the Ironlander names because I like the Ironlander names. They are good and they seem like they'd be good for dwarves. So, on the Ironlander names, Morel. His name is Morel the Dwarf. What is his disposition? Is he crotchety kind of guy? What is he? He's friendly. He is friendly. So maybe he's just a little suspicious. And what is his role? He's the leader. Oh, well, maybe he's not like the leader of the entire settlement here. Maybe he's like the leader of the watch here at this mountain fortress of the dwarves. You know, he looks Archibald up and down again. I mean, he's obviously looking up at him constantly, but he just, you know, looks him over again and he goes, considering you haven't drawn your iron there and already shot me dead, I might be willing to let you in, stranger. What's your name? The name's Archibald Hall. I'm a monster hunter by trade. If it's any consolation, I could assist you by dealing with any threats you have in the area. Do they have any threats in the area? I think it's unlikely. The dwarves don't really have to come above ground a lot to deal with monsters and stuff. They kind of just stay underground, so I think it's unlikely. 14, no, there's no dangers or anything. No, stranger, we don't have anything like that. You don't have to worry about that. Just come on inside. Bring your horse with you. We'll find a place for you to sleep and get a drink or two. Archibald nods, and he comes into this dwarven stronghold. You know, he probably sees this large sweeping hallway made of smooth stone and granite tiles and everything. Probably completely different from anything he's experienced because Badlander homes are all made out of wood and like cabin-esque. And he comes inside, it's lit by braziers and torch sconces and everything, and there's other dwarves walking around. I think this is not a dwarven home. I think this is a watchtower of sorts. I think that's why it's here. So I think there's all the dwarves he sees are like wearing armor and have weapons and everything. And they're like going about bringing materials to different places, keeping watch. There's some up on like large, like almost like battlements on the sides of the walls, looking outside of those little slit windows that he had seen glows coming from. You know, they're just keeping a watch outside into the Badlands. Follow me, stranger. I'll take you to the tavern. And Morel leads the way down the hallway towards the tavern. They get there, and Morel, you know, he shows them inside. There's probably a few dwarves in there drinking their their mighty dwarven brews, and he motions them to the bar. He'll take care of you now. Just tell him Morel said to give you a room and let you have a drink and some dinner as well, and breakfast in the morning. Thank you again, Morel. Sorry, your name's a little weird for me. Don't not worry, stranger. Our words are different from yours, so it's not too surprising that you would have difficulty. Archibald nods towards him, and Morel heads off to go back to attend to his duties. And Archibald looks around at all the dwarves who have they noticed him? I think it's very likely. I think it's almost certain that they're all staring at him. Yes, they are all staring at him because he's one of those big, tall guys, the human here in their watchtower. And Archibald just looks around and goes, howdy. And then they all just turn back to their drinks and go back to drinking. And Archibald goes up to the bar, probably orders a drink, and then notices how big it is, and then asks for a smaller size, and orders some dinner, gets his room, and goes to settle down for the night. And I believe that's where we'll end for now. Wow. What a wild first session. Crazy stuff happening to Archibald right now. Gets attacked by Ernest, finds a dwarven watchtower in the middle of Sea of Grass on his way to Dry Canyon. Totally unexpected, but that's the magic of Ironsworn Badlands. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you join me for the next one. If you like this, please leave a like and comment down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. Make sure to ring that bell notification button. You always know when the next episode comes out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Farewell, partner.